the sturdy shipper, the nail repository, the double corrugated 14-gauge 8-folder. These days, you can't go anywhere without seeing a staple of the 20th century box lineup. But how did a simple box factory grow to be one of the largest shipping empires in the world? Find out in Thinking Inside the Box, a Boxer Rebellion story. The company was founded in 1892 when self-made millionaire Jamal Moneybags purchased an abandoned warehouse. This would later become the site of Moneybags' first box production facility. But just how did 20th Century Box manage to stay afloat during that first shaky year?
The man cut corners everywhere, especially when it came to worker safety. No heat, no lights.
I cannot have you wasting all that light just for your little box escapades. Now shut that off.
Numerous accidents every day.
Ah! That was my second favorite eye!
He wouldn't even pay for real fire exits. Nearly got us killed when the entire factory caught on fire.
It may have been hard work, but it was worth it for that penny each day.
Sure, I may have taken some cost-cutting measures, but I don't think you realize how expensive it is to run a box factory.
And run a factory he did. Through the boss's worker exploitation, 20th Century Box was able to report record profits in the year of 1896. Everyone was rolling in money. But not everyone was rolling in money. The low wages of the factory meant that his employees were forced to live in low-income housing provided by the company. Workers were confined to the 8x10 square footage of a closet that they called home.
Sure, it may have been crowded and dirty, but at least I was surrounded by friends. And it is very comforting to know that I was with people who cared for me.
Let me make this perfectly clear. I hated that tenement room and everyone in it.
Life for the employees may have been miserable, but for the boss, nothing could be better. That is, until one fateful April afternoon.
Open up, Mr. Moneybags. This is a surprise inspection for box factory safety.
The factory's poor safety record was tipped off to the newspapers by an anonymous whistleblower. What the newspapers found would have shocked the nation to hear.
Moneybags, there's some serious ethical problems in your facility. You found an entire missing baseball team in your basement.
Absolutely not. The train that was carrying that baseball team crashed into my factory.
The dream was over. But was the dream really over? With quick thinking, the boss was able to keep the reporters at bay.
Options. You have the wonderful fur coat of Mrs. Moneybags. Or you can have whatever is inside the box of mystery. Tantalizing offers, my friend.
Moneybags may have been able to hide from the press, but his employees had had enough. During a careless celebration of worker competence, Zootroy McSmith's section of the factory caught on fire. The frightened workers made a desperate dash to the fire exit, but found only a concrete wall with some crusting paint.
Hey! Oh my God, it's locked! The emergency exit's just painted on! We're doomed! We're doomed!
Of course I didn't give them real fire exits. Do you have any idea how expensive fire exits are? And anyways, the workers would have stolen supplies out of the factory. Zootroy and his friends are sneaky bastards.
That is ridiculous. How could I possibly stash 4 unfolded boxes underneath my shirt every night?
With memories of the factory fire freshly burned into their memories, the employees of 20th Century Box created their own labor union, electing Zootroy as their leader.
In those days, you had to form unions. Separate, we were weak, like a twig. But together, we were strong, like 4 twigs.
I voted for Zootroy because he seemed like a different kind of leader, with fresh new ideas on box production. And he said he would break my thumbs if I didn't.
I was able to spearhead lots of initiatives as union leader. We got him to fix the leak in the gas line. We got new stools that didn't have nails pointing into the seat. And we got him to put Charleston Chew back in the vending machine. Also, we went on strike.
I came to tell you that we're on strike!
You think a strike is going to take me down, buddy? Get out of my office.
A workers' strike, an owner's worst nightmare.
What do we want?
More money!
When do we want it?
More money!
In a desperate attempt to keep his company alive, Moneybags tried to run the entire factory by himself. But a box factory was a demanding mistress, and the company suffered without the help of the boss's helping hands of handy helpers. Moneybags premiered his first solo box project at BoxCon 98 in Knoxville, Tennessee. Critics responded to his slapdash designs with yawns. Angry yawns. The coffin of the 20th Century Box empire had been sealed shut.
Yeah, I learned a lot from this experience. I realized that when people open a box, they don't want to see my face.
In yet another act of desperation, Moneybags resorted to an insurance scam to recoup his losses. After a tearful goodbye, he doused the factory in a gasoline of sorrow and lit the final match of regret. But escape would prove more difficult than imagined. Foiled by his own shoddy safety measures, Moneybags succumbed to the inferno of his defeat. Would this prove to be the untimely end of Jamal Moneybags? Not exactly.
You know, I have to say that faking my own death was the best decision this company ever made. Nothing rejuvenates a failing business than a life insurance scam.
Moneybags wasn't seen for 3 years after the factory fire. In 1902, he was found working as a CEO in a new box factory in Panama under the name El Diablo Dinero. Meanwhile, in the U.S., Zutroy stood to inherit part of the insurance payoff from the factory fire. However, Zutroy and the political machine had different plans for that money.
Unfortunately, the local grafting ring needs more money to buy out the local government, so there's a new tax on all German immigrants who've been previously employed in the box factory.
But I just... yoink!
Yeah, the money would have really helped me and my friends survive. But I suppose those millionaires needed it more than we did.
That money was going to pay for my eye surgery. Now I will never know the joys of depth perception.
Things may have been bleak for the employees, but the future was bright for this cardboard box factory. So, whether they're crafting a box or manipulating their stocks, 20th Century Box will be shipping for years to come. Next week on Thinking Inside the Box, a man who lived in a refrigerator box for 3 years.